Salute, salute. Salute to God, the Most High, the creator of everything. Salute to all my day ones. Salute to the new subscribers. If you're just not coming in and stumbling across my little itty bitty platform, I'm sure y'all know what to do. Wipe your feet all over the Uncut welcome mat, you know, and help me grow the platform. All right. Last but not least, one time, and trolls on the God of your mama can love you. Two salutes to the God. Let's get into this, man. I've been giving this lots and lots of thought. You know, what is a thug? Depending on who you ask, you'll get a different definition. You'll get a different understanding of the word thug. Now, I think the majority of the time, most of us have ever heard of the word thug. It was basically Tupac Shakur. And thug defines the hate you give. All right. The hate you give. Now, JD Vance called a bunch of black people defending themselves from a white supremacist slapping someone mentally ill in Cincinnati a thug. The thug wasn't the individual who showed their hate by slapping the mentally ill black guy, in which the neighborhood came to his defense as if they should, and as if any neighborhood should, regardless of race, color, creed, sex, religion, etc. Brian Kohlberger was never labeled a thug, but yet one black deck officer in Montgomery, Alabama, gets jumped on by nothing but white supremacists. Black people run to his aid, and those black people are called a thug. At the time the crime bill was passed, we were labeled thugs. Never mind, what happened to Rodney King wasn't too far behind, the crime bill being passed. Never mind, hanging certain people from trees in sundown towns was still going on then. Not to mention government experiments, okay? Not to mention redlining, zip coding. I mean, the list goes on and on. But those people who show their hate are never labeled thugs. It's those who respond to their hate that are somehow labeled thugs. So I want to take this time to educate the better part of America, whoever tunes in into this video, on what a thug really is. All right. Thug means the hate you give. So anytime you twist the story up, say like a Cincinnati, um, Ohio brawl, if we can call it that, say like what really happened with Carmelo Anthony, you are the real thug because by switching the narrative and exercising tunnel vision, you're exercising and showing the hate you give. I mean, I've heard it blatantly on the news that this Russian guy who started this brawl in Cincinnati, he was hitting his head 28 times and he be getting punished twice. Well, he started it. It's called double jeopardy. You know what else has been? You know what else gets punished twice? A person who has been to prison, a person who has committed a felony. Because no matter how much you serve your time, you pay your debts. No matter how much you change, it's still held against you. That is a double standard. So why is it okay for black society to get the double standards, but the same type of thug behavior on other sides never gets that behavior? They're often regarded as heroes. Shiloh Hendrix, who screamed the N word at a little baby in a park, raised over $800,000. The hate you give. The N word is a hateful word. It's pretty racist. Thug, the hate you give. She was never labeled a thug, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Kohlberger was never labeled a thug. All right? Never labeled a thug. Kason Allenson, never labeled a thug. Cody Rollinson, never labeled a thug. Peyton Gentron, never labeled a thug. Dylan Roof, never labeled a thug. This fool who just unalived these children in Minnesota at this Catholic church, never labeled a thug. In every instance I just named of those who were never labeled a thug, they exercised some type of hate. There was some type of manifesto. There was some type of prejudice. There was some type of reaction to people because they were a certain type of people. The hate you give. Thug. JD Vance, I suggest that you pull out your urban dictionary and you get familiar with the real meaning of the word thug. You see, we allowed y'all to hijack the term woke. Okay, so we went to conscious. Thug you can't have because when you use the term thug, you're exercising the hate you give. We understand it's just a code word and an easy way for you to encryptedly say the N word without saying it. It's easy. We get it. We're on to it. But if we're going to stick to definition, especially the urban definition, because somehow us black people we make things pop. We make things popular when we wear it. We make certain sayings and ebonics pretty much universal slang when we use it. The way we dress, music, athletics, dancing, name it, name it. All these inventions, all the patents, all the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of patents that were stolen from black slaves. All the lies about us being African Americans when we look nothing like the African and our skulls are different. Our skulls are different. Cheekbones are different. Eye sockets are different. One sets deeper than the other. The cranium is one of the craniums are larger than the other. I mean, I've only done the research. Lying about us being African American so that we don't identify as something indigenous to the point to where you would have to pay reparations. What's going on with the Smithsonian Museum? You would never do that with the Holocaust victims. You would never do that. You would never erase their history. You would never say, oh, it made it look terrible. It was terrible. But yet, the hate you give, you can say, well, let's get rid of all the slavery stuff in the Smithsonian Museum because it makes slavery look so bad. It was bad. But what makes it look worse is you don't even realize you're the thug. You're exercising the hate you give by turning a blind eye to what America was built on and pretty much where we still are in some aspects. Because if you really wanted to cure the problem and put this whole conversation behind you, you would really just pay those reparations and let people know that we are the indigenous people. We were those Indians. We are those Indians. We were already here. It was you that came by boat. And I'm not saying this to be racist. I mean, there's pictures, there's books, there's research. There's research. More Europeans got here by boat, were imported here through colonization than black slaves were. But history is never going to tell you the truth. Never. That is a thuggish nature. That is the hate you give. When you twist the narrative to maintain a certain supremacy, you know, that is the hate you give. When there's a certain demographic of people who can barely survive a traffic stop for the least little thing, and they're unalived by people who don't look like them that came here as pioneers and settlers but never called themselves thieves and thugs, is what they really were, colonizers. Those people are never called thugs. So, what I'm getting at is To use the word thug the way it's being used right now in mainstream media, to where it's being used, people like JD Vance, you know, racist people on social media, Nick Fuentes, and Charlie Kirk. I mean, you don't realize you're the real thug. You're the real thug. I mean, let's be honest, man. Brian Kohlberger unalive college students, man. Innocent college students. Forget the race of these college students. Children. We just saw children unalived at this mass unaliving in Minnesota. And your society still couldn't label them a thug in the midst of them exercising the hate they had. Remember, thug, the hate you give. The hate you give. Thug is just an acronym, ladies and gentlemen. Thug is just an acronym. The hate you give, it's the ones giving the hate that are the real thugs. That is why Tupac Shakur said exactly what he said. Thug life, the hate you give, little infants, F everyone. The hate you give little infants, F everyone. It's the hate we receive from birth. It's the punishment and prosecution a lot of us face just because of our skin color. And blacks aren't the only ones. We've somehow had it the worst, but we aren't the only ones who live through this prejudice. Anyone in melanated. I mean, they even use black laboratory rats, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, come on, let's be honest. They use black laboratory rats because of the melanin. Do your research. Do your research. Do your research. Y'all don't believe me. I'm not gonna sit here and blow smoke in your ears. If I sat here and told you that a wolf was related to a whale, you think I'm blowing smoke in your ears, but that's really true. That's really true. So I don't get on here just to grift like most people. I get on here with facts. I get on here with a logical understanding of what it takes to deprogram and reprogram us into a better society, a better people, so that we have a more broader understanding of what we're really dealing with and how to get to a resolution. But to sit around and hear all these lawmakers, to hear all these news reporters, to hear a certain demographic of society constantly label the innocent, the thugs, just because they're a little darker, it doesn't mean that you're calling it how it is. And we see this a lot with the LBGTQ. And I'm not here to offend no one, but remember, there was a point in America to where you could not call a man if he identified as a woman. You get sued. That's changing the narrative. They would call that hate speech because you addressed a homosexual man as a man. Well, you're still a man, you're just a feminine male. I look at you, I still see a man who wants to be a woman, but you are a man. But no, we would be thugs if we called them that. See, when you call things how you see it, you're punished for truth and honesty. But when you hop on with the more popular opinion, when you fall into their hypnosis, when you fall into their political BS, you don't realize you're the real thug because you're exercising a certain hate and you're walking further away from the truth. Walking further away from the truth. Now, Daniel Penny unalive Jordan Neely on a subway. And said he never touched anyone. Jordan Neely never touched anyone. They justified his unaliving. Um, Basically, like Daniel Penny was exercising the Good Samaritan Act, like he was saving a bunch of lives when all this guy was doing is just mouthing off a little bit and being a little belligerent. Well, America comes with a freedom of speech. You know, um, he raised over $3.3 million, even beat a criminal case, and he was looked at and adorned as a hero. Now, if we go to this Breeze Airway um, video we saw of this white guy hurling racial slurs on the plane, interrupting everyone, would not sit down when the black female flight attendant was advising him, "Sir, you need to sit down." He had all type of energy. But when this big black guy came up and sat him down, he had nothing to say. And I'm surprised that big, remember the linebacker? Remember the linebacker? Linebacker 17C? Yeah, y'all look it up because this just happened. This is recent. I'm surprised he wasn't labeled a thug. But the point being is, no one unalived this unruly subject on this breeze. What was it? Breeze Airway? Breeze Airway. No one unalived him. They held him down and restrained him until they were able to land and U.S. Marshals detained him. Let's rewind to Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny, who could have simply been held down until the authorities got there to arrest him. Who's the real thug? Who's the real thug? You see, we always exercise, well, in the most part, we try. I'm not going to say all of us because we have some ignorant people in our culture. Every culture has ignorant people. Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say a majority of black society wakes up with the intentions on doing the right thing and treating everyone the right way, regardless of skin tone. You know why? Because we're still trying to make it. We're still clawing our way to the top. We're still trying to scratch the surface. We're still trying to get a piece of the pie. We still want some understanding. And that's all we ask for is understanding. So when you use the term thug, remember it's an acronym. It's no different from LMAO. It's no different from FAFO. It's an acronym. Thug, the hate you give. Next time you see something happening like what happened in Minnesota at this, and he had it written on his weapons. He had it written on his weapons, y'all. For the children, where is your God now? 6 million wasn't enough. I mean, that's racist. Peyton Gintron had messages written on his weapon as well. And no one labeled them a thug. No one. And they were exercising hate. Thug, the hate you give. No one was giving them hate. They came with the hatred. This guy in Minnesota had a fetish. He had a longing, a yearning to unalive children. To unalive children, first of all, that's coward. That's cowardice. Cowardice. Unalive yourself, fool. Leave them churn alone. Those children definitely are the future. You obviously were not. And you obviously were not ever labeled a thug. Why does a certain part of this population exercise tunnel vision? It makes no sense. And we get no results with this type of understanding. If you're going to hijack a term, at least use it the right way. At least use it the right way. It's like hijacking a car and trying to use it for a skateboard. If you're going to hijack a term, use it the right way. A car was meant to be driven. Thug was meant as an acronym. The hate you give. Thug life. The hate you give little infants. Everybody. From birth, we receive this hate due to our skin color. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a college in California that teaches a Tupac Shakur poetry class. Tupac was very deep. He was more than a rapper. Tupac was an activist. An activist. Was he perfect? No. No. No, not at all. But the whole world seems to know who he is, and he's a legend. You know, you become a legend by telling the truth. You know, you become a snake, a grifter, a liar, a thug by running from the truth and never admitting your flaws, your mistakes, your lies, your inaccuracies. That's my take on this, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we've just got to do a little better. You know, we've got to do a little better. Before you hijack these terms, understand what they mean. Because if we got any part of the LBGTQ, whatever else wrong, oh, they be at our throats. Oh, get it right. It's this, it's that. The whole world, you know, even a lot of these black women will be coming to the defense of some of these homosexual males because they push that. Black women push homosexuality in our community. They embrace it. They embrace it. They don't have the understanding that this is one less man that you have that could potentially be your husband or a good son-in-law. You know what I mean? They look at it like, oh, that's so cute. Let's go shopping together. Let's chop it up over the phone. Here, I'll teach you how to walk like me. And it's a cancer in our community, but it's not looked at that way. And black women endorse that. I'm going to tell the truth. Black women endorse that in our community. And you know who loves it? The same ones who label you a thug, knowing that they are really the thugs. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, again, that's my take. You know, and some people are gonna like this, some people are not. Some people will agree, some people won't. But that's why it's called a conversation. That's why we have a platform. That's why I open up my channel. You know, you can leave your thoughts in the comment box. In no way, shape, or form is this meant to be racist or cause a racial divide, but it's meant for everyone of every culture just to look a little deeper. You know, y'all always tell us to police our neighborhood, police your neighborhoods. You know, all these mass shootings, y'all tell us to comply. Well, y'all comply. Y'all comply. Please, please keep your hands to yourself and keep your weapons to yourself. Y'all know what to do, man. Get your one on one. Get your one on one. Get your one on one with your higher power. There's a higher learning here that we can achieve. And it doesn't take all of us, it just takes some of us that's willing to wake up and have the discussion and get the work done. They say America will always, always be a racist country, but America will always be the melting pot and the best example you can give to any other country in this world. Do you know who is the I got the code is you know who's the grayest, let's take the R out, but you know who's the grayest country of them all? Take the R out of my statement. Do you know who's the grayest country of them all who leads the way? Even in those type of unions, speaking same sex, America. But yet there's a problem putting these type of people in the military. But there's no problem, you know, unifying them in same sex. There's no problem that we lead the way in this out of all countries. There isn't a problem that there's a shortage of good men, there's a shortage of good women because they are living that lifestyle. I'm not here to judge, but there's a problem putting them in the military, huh? Hmm? There's a problem. You don't want to pay for those surgeries, though, huh? And they don't understand that they're just signing a government contract. They're becoming government property. And y'all stay prayed up, stay blessed up, stay meditated up, stay protected, stay real, stay conscious, stay uncut, be inspired, be great, be you. Ashe, somebody's got to make it make sense, man. Remember, thug, the hate you give. Ashe.